Welcome back, everybody, and happy Valentine's Day to everyone celebrating. I know I'm celebrating because I have a girlfriend. Unfortunately, Kyle is not celebrating, but happy Valentine's Day, Kyle. Welcome back. This is a Valentine's Day edition. And yeah, with that being said, I would like to introduce Kyle. Say what's up.
Wow, what a shot at me, bro. That was very rude to start the episode like that.
Sorry.
But yeah, no, happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Hope you guys are having an excellent day and an excellent weekend as well since, we're on Saturday right now. And yeah, I think we got an exciting days on news and well, actually not a lot of news. It's more just scores, but still, I think you guys will all enjoy, what we got to say today.
Yeah, I think so too. And for those, I'm sorry, but me personally, for Valentine's Day, I spent a little bit of money on my Valentine and on I bought my mom some gifts. I bought my girlfriend some gifts. So yeah, unfortunately, I couldn't buy Kyle any gifts because he's a little further than that. But that's okay. We'll move on to the NHL scores followed by NHL schedule. I mean, not excuse me. Let me recap that. Olympic scores. Olympic schedule,
Hmm.
Olympic starting goalies, and then finish off with our picks of the day. So, with that being said, the first game that we will talk about today is going to be the Sweden Slovakia game. And in this game, it unfortunately saw the Swedes beat the Slovaks. I thought those Slovaks would pull through, but unfortunately not. So, the way the goals were scored was as following: Joel Eriksson Ek, basically make it 1-0 for the Swedes. It was a 2-on-1, which obviously turned into a breakaway, but the Slovaks goalie did save it, and then they started jamming at the puck. I see that. They started jamming at the puck because, it was right there in the crease, and they started jamming it, and they put it in, and, the Slovaks goalie was complaining a lot to the officials, thinking, he was interfered, but he was not. Then we'll move on to the Slovaks' first goal, which was scored by Juraj Slavkovsky, and this was a slap shot from the face-off point, and it was a good pass. It was on the power play, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. No, it was not. It was not. It was. Excuse me, guys. I'm trying to. I gotta get it for you guys. But yeah, it was not on the power play. But he basically just took a slap shot. He was on the point, and he took a slap shot and hit the post and in gloves. Bucker's side. Then the Swedes made it 2-1 on a Adrian Kempe goal. Basically, Adrian Kempe, they won the faceoff. They passed it. Rasmus Dahlin passed it across to other point, and Kempe was there to slap it in glove side. Nothing for the Slovaks goalie. Then we'll move on to where the Slovaks equalized the game on a Martin Gernat goal, which the shot from the point by the other defender for the Slovaks was blocked, and then it came out to Martin Gernat, who Martin Gernat just basically shot it in, and he put it blocker side on Markstrom and tied the game. Then we go on to the Swedes' third goal of the game, which was scored by Elias Pettersson on an assist from Philip Forsberg and Victor Hedman, and
Mhm.
it was a 3-on-2, and then Philip Forsberg was basically alone, and he got a beautiful pass. Excuse me, Pedersen was all alone, and he got a beautiful pass from Philip Forsberg, and he put it in between the 5 hole to make it 3-2. Then the Swedes again, Elias Pedersen in the third period. Basically, what Lucas Raymond does is he goes behind the net, so he like takes the puck, goes behind the net, and he finds a wide open Pedersen on the other side. So like kind of like the Oilers, where they go around the net, and then there's one guy just sitting here alone, and Lucas Raymond just finds Pedersen, and he just taps it in to make it 4-2. And then we have the fifth goal, and this was the last goal scored by the Swedes. It was a Lucas Raymond goal, and the way this goal was scored is he basically took the puck into the offensive zone, does like a between the legs deke, so like he puts it between his own legs, and then he basically gets, I guess, tripped, but he falls, and he basically just puts the puck in between the Slovaks 5 hole goalie. So yeah, and then we'll move on to the Slovaks' last goal, which was scored by Dalibor Dvorsky. And Slavkovsky shoots the puck, and Markstrom, he saves it. He thought he had it in, but it just squeezed behind him. And, Dvorsky was there to tap it in before Markstrom could make a save. So, yeah, for the goalie performances, real quick, if Kyle can, bring it over to the goalie performances, real quick.
Which do. Here you go, Jakob.
All right, here's the stats for the Swedes, real quick. And moving on to Markstrom, who allowed 3 goals on 32 shots and had himself a 906 save percentage and For the Slovaks, on the other hand, which Kyle will get to eventually, and there's the stats.
Here, I'll
Oh,
just
you're
scroll
good. You're
down
good.
real slow.
Just for everybody, you guys can pause this video at any time. It was Samuel Hlavash who allowed 5 goals on 51 shots and had himself a 902 save percentage. So yeah, good performance by the Swedes, and they needed this. They much needed this badly as they wanted to qualify for the next round, which
Absolutely.
they did.
And by the way, Jakob, I don't know if you noticed, but actually Slovakia is the one who is leading the Group B right now after this win. And the reason they are leading Group B is because they got the tiebreaker over Sweden because I mean Sweden did beat them, but they beat Finland, who Finland did beat Sweden, which is kind of confusing. And it's a whole thing where it's like it is really confusing, but yeah, Slovakia actually wins this game and they get an automatic bye to the quarterfinals now. Or they oh well, I don't know why I said they won because they didn't, but yeah, by the way, the tiebreaker Yakov was that Dalibor Dvorsky goal with 39 seconds left on the clock.
Wow.
So if they don't score that goal, they'd probably have to play an extra game to be able to make it to the further rounds. So
Wow, interesting. So there you have it, folks. I did not know that, but now Kyle is here to tell us. So
absolutely, but yeah. Anyways, we'll go over like the standings actually at the end because I will pull those up. But we'll go over the next game, which is Germany versus Latvia. And unfortunately for the Germans in this one, Latvia gets the better of them. And you know how we describe the goals on here, but unfortunately for the next two games, Jakob and I did not do all that. We didn't look into all of the goals because unfortunately we were busy today, so we could not get to that. But we apologize for the inconvenience, but we got that first game between Sweden and Slovakia where we described all the goals, and then of course the last game against the US and Denmark, I will be describing all the goals to you folks. But the first goal scored in this game between Germany and Latvia was by Lucas Reichel for the Germans, and this one was assisted by Dominic Cahoon and Lucas Kalbe, and this came just 2 minutes in. But then I guess it looks like Latvia took a penalty 26 seconds after the goal. Ultimately, it didn't cost them. But then Germany, which that's Jonas Mueller, who takes the penalty, and ultimately it does cost the Germans as Dan Los Melis for the Latvians scores on the power play to make it 1-1. But ultimately, Lucas Kalbe, after getting an assist on the first goal, just over a minute after the Latvians get their goal, he scores to give the Germans the lead again, and this was assisted by Frederick Tiefels. Then going into the second period, we see a few penalties, one by Wojciech Statuiak. Oh my goodness, that's quite the name. Then Oskar Zbazna, and then Jonas Mueller, which ultimately that is actually the one that does end up costing them. But also Tobias Reeder took a penalty as well, so the Latvians had a 5-on-3 power play, and Danslos Melis, which that sounds familiar because yes, he did. He scored his second of the game, and this one was assisted by Rudolf Balsers and Panthers' own Juvis Balinskis. And good for him to tie the game for his team once again on the power play. And the Germans need to stay out of the box in this one if they wanted to, give themselves a better chance to win. But going into the third period, Latvia takes a penalty, but it doesn't matter. But only 16 seconds after being equalized at 5-on-5, Edwards Tralmax ends up scoring for the Latvians, and that one is assisted by Zemgis Gergensons and Janis Jacks. Then, not too long after, Renars Krastenbergs ends up scoring. Ultimately, this would stand as the game-winning goal, and this one was assisted by Kaspers Dogovins, their captain, and Albert Smits. And then the last goal of the game, which would actually go to the Germans after they had pulled Philip Grubauer. It is Tim Stutzle, which Leon Draisaitl and JJ Peterka end up getting an assist on that one. But then I guess the Germans, they pulled Philip Grubauer again, but ultimately that was it, and the game ended. And yeah, good win by the Latvians. And then moving on to the stats, which I will pull them up for you folks. We will see that I'll just scroll down real quick. Draisaitl played 28-30, which I'm gonna be honest, I was not aware that he played that much had that much ice time. I don't know if you knew that or not, Jakob, either.
no, and I also this do see that Moritz Seider played 27-41. So
Yeah, which I don't see him on here, but that's okay. Oh, I
he's
see.
he's He's a
Wait,
little at
no.
the top. He's a little at the
Ah,
top.
there he is. Yes, if you guys were wondering, at 27-41, 26-14 for Tim Stutzla. So
26-25 for JJ Paterka. So
yeah, so their top guys are hauling big minutes for them to try to help them win these games. But yeah, Philip Grubauer unfortunately did not have the greatest performance as he only saved 18 out of 22 and allowed 4 goals, which for an 81, I guess an 818 save percentage. Sorry. And then, oh, by the way, the shots were 29-22 in favor of Germany. But then going to the Latvian stats, which I will pull that up for you folks. I wish I had a more smooth transition, but that is what it is. But yeah, Juvis Balinski's 24 minutes for the Latvians. Then honestly, they play a pretty equal amount of ice time. There's like, aside from Balinski's, there's not a lot of guys that get like a crazy amount of ice time. I mean, I guess Christian's Rubens. Oh, I didn't see Zemgus Girgensons. Never mind, Jakob. There's a couple guys that are getting quite a lot of ice time. But then moving to their goaltender, which it was Artur Shilovs, and he made 26 saves and allowed 3 goals on 29 shots and had himself an 896. But that was good enough. And congrats to the Latvians for getting their first win of the tournament. And they desperately needed that if they wanted to keep themselves afloat.
yeah, it was a good performance by Latvia and very an upset because we thought that the Germans would pull this one through and Latvia came out and surprised everybody. But yeah, we'll move on to the next game, which this game, sorry folks, I'm not able to due to the if you guys look at the score, you will see why we were not able to record to tell you guys how every goal was scored. But the goal was as following. Sebastian Aho makes it 1-0 for the finish. Then a penalty was taken by Italy, Mats Frickland for hooking, which cost the Italians a goal, and Michael Granlund puts it in. Then Capo Caco makes it 3-0 for the finish. And going into the second period, we saw Joe Kiviranta make it 4-0 for the finish. Then Capo Caco again makes it 5-0 for the finish.
Mm-hmm.
Then, a few penalties that were taken by the Italians, and it was a 5-on-3 for the finish, but unfortunately nothing happened. Then we see Michael Granlund double down and make it 6-0 before the third period. And then, Damian Clara gets pulled and Davide Fadani comes in. And then right after that happens with 41 seconds, Marco Zanatti takes a tripping penalty, which ultimately leads to Miro Heiskanen scoring a power play goal to make it 7-0 for the finish. Then we see Arthuri Lehkonen make it 8-0 for the finish. Then Sebastian Aho makes it 9-0 for the finish. And you thought the finish were done? No, they put in a 10th goal. And they were
Yikes.
not done after that. But Joe Armia makes it 10-0. And then Joel Kiviranta, who doubles down, makes it 11-0. And then,
Oh,
the end of the game. And yeah, when I saw this game, I thought that the Italians would make it a lot closer, but unfortunately not. The shot total was 62-15. Like in the first period, the Italians only had 2 shots, then 6 shots, then 7 shots. So yikes! If you're the Italians, you kind of want this game back because yeah. But we'll move on to the goalie performances, which Kyle will pull it up because I do not have the numbers. But we will talk about the finish first, which obviously UC Soros completed a shutout for a 15 save shutout and had a 100% save percentage or 1.00 goals against save percentage, excuse me. And for the Italians, on the other hand, it was a rough performance by them. They want to take this one and shove it because they do not want this one. But Damian Clara allows 6 goals on 38 shots for an 842 save percentage. And then Davide Fadani comes in and allows 5 goals on 24 shots and has a 792 save percentage. So,
ugh.
yikes! The Italians, I thought they pulled a few games, especially against the Swedes and who they
Slovaks.
played Slovaks, but unfortunately, the finish were too much for them. And yeah, the game ended 11-0. And the only news that I have for this one is that the Finland breaks the single game Olympic men's hockey goal record in NHL participation era. So good for the Finnish to, write themselves in history. But yikes, when I saw this score, I freaked out. I was shocked.
Yeah, and rest in peace to my prediction, obviously, where I predicted that Italy would win, and ugh, I felt like I was on top of the world after the last few predictions, and unfortunately, no, I'm not on top of the world. I'm actually at rock bottom at the moment after this prediction. But also,
Because that
Jakob,
was,
well, one more stat for this game is that the Italians are the only goaltender in this tournament that played both goaltenders in all three of their games.
well, yeah, I'm not really surprised. They've been allowing a lot of goals.
Well, especially in this one. But actually, they held their own against the Slovaks, only losing 2-3 or 3-2, and then they lost. It was 5 to it was 5-2 against the Swedes, which one of those was an empty netter, by the way. So
Yeah, but the only reason that they wanted the first game was because Damien Clara got hurt and they put Fadani in, and then they wanted to change the momentum up because Damien Clara had himself a good game. So then they switched him, and then now now you obviously see that they pulled him because they allowed a bunch of goals.
yeah, no, that's absolutely true. But on that note, I'm going to move on to the final game of the day, and that we will see as the U.S. facing off against Denmark, and ultimately the U.S. get the better of the Danish. They win this one 6-3, but honestly, I'm very impressed with the performance that Denmark ended up putting up in this one. They got outshot 47-21. I can't remember if I already said that, but I apologize if I just said it twice in a row. But anywho, the Danish actually are the ones who opened the scoring. By the way, your tenders in net, which the Danish did not go with Mads Sogard, or what? They did not go with Frederick Anderson. And by the way, Frederick Anderson wasn't even the backup in this one. He was actually the third string for tonight. And then the U.S. decided to go with Jeremy Swayman today, which ultimately didn't matter because they won. But Nick Olesen for the Danish, which I got to pull up my notes because I said I would describe the goals for this one. And I don't know why I didn't have the open, but he ends up banging home his own rebound after a shot pass from Oscar Fisker Molgaard, and he ends up burying it to put the Danish up one. But then not too long after, Matt Boldy, which this goal was assisted by Quinn Hughes and Jacob Slavin, but ultimately this was a individual effort where Matt Boldy skates into the zone, skates around his guy, and takes a shot at the net, which ultimately Mad Sogard deflects behind the net, but then he gets the puck back. Gets his, bro. I'm fumbling my words on this one, but he gets the puck back behind the net and he wraps it around and ends up beating Mad Sogard and the defender's stick, and he ties the game. Which then, ultimately going later in the period, Dylan Larkin takes a 2-minute minor for holding, but that didn't cost the States anything. Then the next goal, which was actually by the Danish, and it was Nicholas B. Jensen, assisted by, oh boy, Malte Setkov. And on this goal, the U.S. clear the zone, and the puck gets passed across the ice by Malte Setkov, and this is one that Jeremy Swayman, I guarantee, wants back, because Nicholas B. Jensen straight up just takes the shot from center ice, and it beats Jeremy Swayman. And when I watched this goal, I could not believe how bad that was. But then going to the next goal, this next goal was scored by Brady Tkachuk, which would tie the game, and this was assisted by Jack Eichel, where Jack Eichel wins the draw, and he got it straight to Brady Tkachuk, who just ended up absolutely slamming it home. And good for him, and he ties the game. And then, not even a minute later, Jack Eichel on a very similar face-off play, which this one, by the way, was assisted by Matthew Tkachuk, which I will get to, but yeah, Jack Eichel ends in a tight draw where Matthew Tkachuk is able to nudge it forward to Jack Eichel, where he takes a shot on goal and buries it from a very similar spot but on the opposite side. But then 7 minutes later, actually exactly 7 minutes later, Noah Hannafin gives the States a bit of insurance, and ultimately this would stand as your game winner, assisted by Vincent Trocheck and Brock Faber. But Noah Hannafin joined the rush after Vincent Trocheck passed the puck to him at center ice, and he skates in and takes a shot attempt, which was blocked by the Danish defender. But he gets his own rebound, and he ends up shooting it right between the pads of Mad Sogard. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure Mad Sogard would like that one back, but I guess both goaltenders ended up allowing a couple goals that they would want back in this game. So good on them, but that ultimately put them up. But the Danes didn't go away. Philip Brugazer, assisted by Nikolai Ehlers and Alexander True. By the way, this goal was scored with 3 seconds. Actually, not even 3 seconds. It was 2.6 seconds left on the clock in the period. So Alexander True right wins the draw to Nikolai Ehlers, which ultimately Ehlers passed the puck straight to Philip Brugizer, who took a slap shot from the point, and that beat Jeremy Swayman clean. And yeah, good goal by him, and that kept them close, but it was not enough. And then, unfortunately for them, in the third period, Jake Gensel gets the scoring started in this period, where Jake Gensel gets an assist from Austin Matthews, and ultimately Austin Matthews passed the puck right to the slot where Jake Gensel was standing, and ends up one-timing it past, like straight past Mad Sogard. And then a couple minutes, or not even a minute, I guess just over a minute later, Matthews ended up taking a penalty of his own, but it did not matter. But then I don't know exactly what happened to Matt Sogard, but I know he ended up leaving the game with an injury, so hopefully for him it's nothing serious. I know on that Jake Gensel goal, he kind of it kind of looked awkward for him. He almost looked like he was in pain after the goal, so I don't know if he tweaked something or what happened, but Frederick Dechow ends up drawing in for Denmark, and good for him to, get an appearance in this tournament. But yeah, unfortunately for him, like just after or just over 3 minutes into his performance, Jack Hughes ends up bearing the last goal of the night, which was assisted by Brock Nelson. And yeah, Jack Hughes skated it into the zone, and then he goes, well, I guess I don't even know exactly when Brock Nelson passed him the puck, because to be honest, it didn't show up in the replay. But yeah, he skates into the zone and goes down low into the Denmark zone, where he goes between. Wait, scored by Jack Hughes? Well, that's news to me. I thought it was scored by Brady Tkachuk. Anyways, I apologize. I guess I didn't watch the replay fully, but yeah, Jack Hughes skates into the zone and goes. He actually goes down low behind the net, where he goes behind the goaltender and passes it between the post and the goalie. And I guess it was actually the Danish defender who ended up putting it into his own net. And I thought it was Brady Tkachuk because the way that Tkachuk celebrated, but I guess I was wrong. So that is my bad, folks. But ultimately, that would be your score. And yeah, we'll go to the goaltending statistics real quick, which in this one for the United States, oh, here, I'll start from the top real quick and I'll scroll down, nice and slow. But yeah, your goaltender in this one, Jeremy Swayman, allowed 3 goals on 21 shots and ended 857 save percentage. And then going over to the Denmark side of things, which, here we go. What the heck? It did not switch to Denmark. My apologies, folks. This is one where I don't know what's going on, Jakob. This has been a blunderfest for me in this game. But yeah, I'll scroll down real slow for you guys so you can see all of the scores. And then obviously Mads Sogard, who started this game, allowed 5 goals on 37 shots and actually had himself a pretty strong performance, all things considered, against a powerhouse US team. And he had himself an 865 save percentage. And then Frederick Dechow, who actually ended up facing 10 shots in relief in that final, you know, less than 10 minutes. He faced 10 shots, allowed 1 goal, and he ended up having a 900 save percentage. So good for him. And that is it for the scores.
Yeah, so now we will move on to the NHL schedules, also with starting goalies. So, Kyle, if you could bring up daily face-off so that we could, talk about the games tomorrow and the schedule for tomorrow.
Yeah, not an NHL Jakob, by the way. It is actually the Olympic schedule.
Excuse me, the Olympic schedule. We are on a IK NHL daily talk, so I, get it messed up. But the Olympics, if you could pull up the Olympics schedule for tomorrow with the starting goalies, we can recap it.
Absolutely. And I got the goaltenders right here, and then I will go over to the IIHF's website after this to show them, obviously, just the schedule real quick again. But our first matchup for tomorrow, we have Team Latvia facing off against Germany, and Latvia's fighting for their tournament life as... Wait, no. Oh, I guess it is not Latvia, sorry. It is actually the Danes who will be fighting for their tournament life tomorrow. But ultimately...
You're on the wrong one, buddy. The Latvians played the
Oh,
Germans today.
oh shoot, sorry. That was Valentine's Day. My bad. I think I did the same thing yesterday, Jakob, so my apologies. Okay,
Again.
so the actual games for today, which these games will, or I guess the first one is at 4:10 a.m. Mountain Time and 6:10 a.m. Eastern Time, and we have Team Czechia facing off against Team Switzerland.
It's looking like it's going to be Dan Vladar, although it is unconfirmed, against Akira Schmid.
All right, second matchup, which is between France and Canada, and this one I will definitely be tuning into. And Yeah, that game will be at 8:40 a.m. Mountain Time, and that'll be 10:40 a.m. Eastern Time.
And that's looking like it's going to be Martin Necker against Jordan Binnington for the Canadians.
Interesting. All right. Then for your next game, we have ultimately Arthur. Bro, come on.
You're good. You're good. Let's go.
It is between Latvia and Denmark, which I might have already said. And this game is at 11:10 a.m. Mountain Time, 1:10 a.m. Eastern p.m. Eastern Time. Jesus.
It's looking like it's going to be Arthur Shilov against Matt Sogard, but don't be surprised if Denmark's backup goalie or Frederick Anderson plays.
Yes, sir. But yes, then the next one we have Germany facing off against the States, and that should be a absolute doozy there. But yeah, this one will be at 1:10 p.m. Mountain Time and 3:10 p.m. Eastern Time.
Now it's going to be Philip Grubauer against Jeremy Swayman. So there you have it, folks. There is your NHL schedule. Kyle, go ahead and pull up the schedule for tomorrow real quick and the standings so that the people can see what we have to deal with. And
Mm-hmm.
we will then talk about our picks of the day and then finish it off with the question of the day, which I have a question for the YouTube fans.
Yeah, which there we go. Just to summarize, this is Group A, where Canada is currently leading, and I mean they play France, so I expect them to lead. Ultimately, oops, my apologies, I did not mean to do that. Ultimately, France tomorrow will be fighting for their tournament life, as if they get a worse goal differential than the Italians, they will actually be relegated in this tournament. So they have to have at least a half decent performance. They cannot allow more than 8 tomorrow.
Okay.
And then in Group B, Slovakia wins, like I said, followed by Finland, who will be seated second, and the Swedes are third, and then obviously the Italians are, ultimately, if the stands as it is, they will be the team that gets relegated. But then going into Group C, the U.S. is leading, and I expect them to win this group. And then Latvia probably will get second, because I expect them to beat Denmark, tomorrow. And then I think Germany will sit third in this group, but ultimately, Denmark could win, and we ultimately will see. But yeah, currently they are also fighting for their tournament life.
Yeah, so there you have it, folks. There's the standings. Now we'll move on to the picks of the day, which me and Kyle both went 1 for 2 yesterday. I said that Brady Tkachuk was gonna get a goal, which he did, and I put
Mm-hmm.
Slovakia to beat Sweden, which unfortunately that did not happen. And Kyle took a blunder here. He put Nicolas Ehlers to get a point in. He thought that his magic run at the Olympics would continue, and so he decided to go with the Italians to beat the Finnish, and yeah, he wishes he could take that one back. But
I
since
do.
Kyle had the blunder yesterday, I will allow him to go first on the games tomorrow.
All right. Well, looking at our schedule tomorrow, which I should have ended the stream honestly after, but that's okay. But I'm going to choose. You know what? Since I was talking, since I was saying that Latvia was going to beat Denmark, I think I'm going to take that as my prediction, and that the Latvians will beat the Danish. And hmm, this is a tough one. You know what, Jakob? I'm gonna go back to my, the same prediction that I made on day one of the men's tournament, and I'm going to take Leon Draisaitl to score a goal.
Okay, okay. And for my pick, I'm actually going to take exactly the way I went day one, and I'm going to take a Connor McDavid goal.
Mm-hmm.
And for my pick of the day, I'm actually going to take a bit of a upset here. I'm going to take the Swiss to beat the Czechs tomorrow.
Okay, I
There
like
you have
it.
it, folks. Kyle went with Latvia to beat the Danes and Draisaitl goal, and I went with the Swiss to beat the Czechs and a McDavid goal. And the question of the day for all the YouTube fans before we wrap it up is based on what you guys seen so far. What country has the better goaltender performances so far?
Ooh.
So drop your answers in the comment section down below, and we will read it. But yeah, I figured we're getting towards the end of the preliminary rounds. I want to see what the people think about what country had the better goalkeeper performance. So yeah, drop your answers. Make sure you like and comment and subscribe. And with that being said, Kyle, if you have nothing else, go ahead and do the outro.
Well, actually, Jakob, I want to hear your personal pick on who you think has had the best goaltending so far in this tournament.
Best goalies so far. Well, I don't know because I obviously I like the Canadians, they played good.
Hmm.
I'm gonna take the Canadians. I think the Canadians had the better pick. Besides Logan Thompson allowing that one goal, they've been solid all preliminary rounds. So I'm gonna take the Canadians actually to have the better goaltender performance so far.
All right, and I think that is a good choice. Although I don't necessarily think, because obviously Canada, in comparison to other teams, is like they have a very good team in front of their goalie, so that definitely does help in the sense of having very good goalie performances. And I think you can agree with that one.
Obviously, yeah.
But actually, I'm gonna go to the stats real quick, and I'm just gonna check goalkeepers because I know I can think of a few guys who have had some pretty good performances, but ooh, this is a tough one. Um, Dang, this is yeah, like I said, this is kind of tough. I'm not gonna lie. Mm, I mean, it's really hard against go against the Canadians. I might have to agree, but if I currently had to choose a goaltender that is not a Canadian and a guy who likely will play tomorrow, I'm going to go with Leonardo Giannoni for the Swiss, who has been very good and is
Hmm.
not an NHL guy, or
Yeah.
even Damien Clara after his performance in that first game. And by the way, because of how good his performance was in that first game, even after a couple of very meh performances, his save percentage is still a wait. I gotta verify that that's actually his save percentage and that I'm not seeing things. Oh, I was looking at the wrong number, but his save percentage is just under 900. It is an 895, even after having some rough performances after that first one. So that
So
shows how
yeah,
good his first game was.
but yeah. With that being said, Kyle, I believe I did the intro, so you go ahead and do the outro.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening as always. And yeah, Jakob and Kyle. Oh my gosh, I don't know why I'm talking about it as if we're not here right now, but yeah, no, we love to do these YouTube videos, and we try to get better content to you guys every single time we upload. And ultimately, because Jakob's home right now, we decided to do another YouTube video. And actually, Jakob, before we wrap this up,
Oh,
yes, I was just about to say, but yes, Jakob got himself a little something, and no, it is not the Canadian flag today, although he might flaunt that as well. I guess we will see. But I
oh,
can
I
see.
unfortunately don't have it. I unfortunately do not have it at home. But this is I am actually going since we started this podcast, I've been going on a little jersey collection. I just bought myself this fire jersey. The Seattle Seahawks' win. Unfortunately, I don't have the. I wish I can get one of those Super Bowl patches, but this was the jersey that I decided because I would like it. So yeah, I got myself a Jackson Smith and Jigba jersey, and do not worry, folks, because Jakob Aaron, after buying himself this jersey, has already thought about buying himself an Edmonton Oilers jersey. So stay tuned for that because that will be coming soon. I will be getting myself a jersey, and I will be putting it on. And when I do be putting it on, me and Kyle for the YouTube videos will be putting it on, and we will keep it on, and we will talk so that we can show that we are NHL fans.
And honestly, at some point, Jakob, I actually want to get like if this podcast ends up becoming big enough, I eventually think we should get jerseys that aren't just Edmonton Oilers jerseys, and like maybe some country jerseys for when there's another Olympics, or on top of that, maybe some jerseys like we get ourselves like like a Rangers jersey, a Kings jersey, and then these jerseys for all these teams, so we can show off the jersey collection, and also the fact that we can talk about the relevancy to as why they're relevant for that video.
I am also thinking to save up enough money to get myself a Stadium Series Tampa Bay Lightning jersey.
Ooh, that jersey is kind of nice. I can't lie. So, fair enough,
Oh yeah.
Jakob. And I'm not gonna lie, if you're gonna get a jersey, I would say get that one sooner than later because they're only gonna be around for so long.
Oh yeah, no, for sure, for sure. But first, I'm definitely gonna get myself an Edmonton jersey because I need a jersey now. How am I gonna support my team without a jersey? I got a Seahawks jersey, and that jersey was actually bought 2 weeks before the Super Bowl, and I thought it was gonna come in, but due to the weather delay and all that, it unfortunately came after. But hey, I still got it, and if the Seahawks make it, I do have my hat behind me, and I do have the jersey, so maybe we'll see.
Yeah. Well, anyways, thank you all for listening as always. And on that note, because Jakob already asked this question, we will be back with maybe another YouTube video tomorrow. Potentially, we will see, but we will definitely have another episode tomorrow. And yeah, thank you for listening and peace out, guys.
Peace out, everyone. Have a good night.